Welcome to EliteGuitarist.com. My name is Ines Thomé, and today I will show you how to play the famous little tune Packington's Pound. I love the melody and the chord progression, actually, of this piece, and I'm very excited to share some of my ideas with you. So thank you for turning on this video. The piece was originally played on the lute, and it dates back into the 16th century. So it's quite old, and we don't actually know who composed it, but we know it was very, very famous at that time and very popular. And many people knew the melody, knew the chord progression, and it was basically as well known as Greensleeves, which I think everyone probably knows Greensleeves today, and maybe not Packington's Pound, but at that time it was a big hit. So I hope you enjoy playing that little tune with me, and it's quite easy to play. And it sounds very beautiful, so have fun. Before we actually start with the song, with the piece, I would like you to learn a little chord progression with me. And it's the chord progression the whole piece is based on, so it really makes sense to start with that. And if you don't know how to play the chords yet, don't worry about it. We will go through that later too. But if you know how to play the chord shapes, just play along. It will save you a lot of time when learning the piece. So the chord progression is A minor, E major, going back to A minor, and to E major. That's the first part. And the second part goes to C major, and then to G, and then to A minor, little cadence, E, A minor. So really the shapes, as you see, so the A minor shape and the E major shape are the same shape. You just move your fingers one string up and down. So again, just one more time the chord progression: A minor, E major, A minor, E major, second part, C major, G, A minor, E, A minor. So now we go right to the first measure. And we start with our A minor chord shape, but without the first finger. So you don't need the first finger yet. So now we pluck the strings 5, 4, 3 with our chord shape. Then second string open. And now the first finger completes the chord shape. That's our first measure, slowly in tempo. 1, 2, and 3. Now the second measure moves to the E major chord shape. Since we don't need the fifth string, we don't need our full chord shape, we can just use this little one. And that means we can actually keep our second finger just on the string, because our A minor chord shape in measure 1 just has the second finger already on the fourth string. So all you have to move is the first finger. Okay, so the second measure is second and third string plucked, then 4 and 6. So now the first and the second measure together. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. Now measure 3 and 4 are actually a repeat of measure 1 and 2. So we do the same thing again, with one little exception we will see. So let's start again. A minor, 1, 2, and 3, E major. Now we don't pluck the sixth string, because what comes next is a pickup to the next section, to our C major section. So the C major section starts on the second string 1, 4. You see, I use the fourth finger on the second string, on the third fret, because we are going to with the third finger, we need the third finger free for the fifth string. So I play 1, 4, and now I move my third finger to the fifth string and plug fifth string and first string. Now the first finger on first string, 1, 0. So this is our part of our C major shape. Okay? Just this little part again. So that's the end of the fourth measure, the last beat of the fourth measure. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Great. Now we are going to the sixth measure, which is our G major shape. It's not really this G major shape you know probably. It's a little different. We put our third finger on the sixth string and our pinky right underneath same fret on the second string. If that is any difficult for you, just start by putting the pinky on the second string and then putting the third finger on. Eventually, we want to put them, we want to fret them at the same time. We want to put the fingers down at the same time. But if that's a little too hard, just go with your pinky and then come with your third finger. And now we play this measure. So we start by playing sixth string and second string. Then the open second string. And then the open third string. So I will do that again, and please watch my third finger. My third finger is not moving the whole measure. The bass note just rings through the whole measure. So, second string, third string. Now we go back to our A minor shape. Now we are in measure 7. A minor, you can put the whole shape down, the full A minor shape, and then you pluck strings 5, 4, 3, then string 2. Now we go back to our E major shape, but we only need the first finger actually. So, because all we pluck is sixth string, third string, second string. And then we go back to our A minor, plucking 5, 4, and 3. Let's do this little cadence at the end. That's measure 7 and measure 8. And it's just A minor, all A minor shape, second string, E major shape, and back to A minor. So that was our first phrase. And we learned a couple things. It's important to use the pinky on the second string in measure 4 to have it ready. Have our third finger ready in measure 5. And then in measure 6, and actually also in measure 5, it's really important to always keep the third finger down so that the bass note rings through the whole measure. Let me now play the full first phrase, measures 1 through 8. I would like to go to the next section now. That's our second phrase, starting in measure 9 until measure 16. And when you listen to the piece, you will notice that the second phrase is basically the same thing as the first phrase. It's just an embellished version or a variation of the first phrase. And that's quite common in this type of music. People would just use a chord progression and they would just play whatever they want to play, a little bit like in jazz music. You have your chord progression and then you play your solo with whatever is fitting, whatever you want to play. They did the same thing in the 16th century. They had their chord progression and they had maybe a melody, but then they would alter it and embellish it and just make their own variation out of it. So that's happening measure 9 through 16. So we start again having our sort of our A minor shape. We don't really need the whole shape now because it's more like melodic what we do. So we start plucking the 5th string and the 3rd string with the A, so the 2nd finger. And we play 2nd, 1st, 2nd, now 2nd string open, and 1st finger, 2nd string. And now we move again to our E major shape, that's measure 10. So we can put the whole thing down already. Not the full one, because we never need the 5th string, remember? So we only need the 4th string. And pluck 4 and 6. So for everyone who has the sheet music in front of you, you will see measure 2 is exactly the same as measure 10. So now measure 9 and 10 together in tempo. 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. What is important when we change between A minor and E major is that we don't want to have the melody cut. We don't want it to sound. We want it to be all legato or connected. So we really want to imagine as we were singing the piece. That's a great advice anyways, to just take some time and sing through the melody and get comfortable with this melody and hear like what do you want to do with this melody? What is like more important? What is less important? Are there any beats you want to stretch a little bit? Are there like sections where you want to move a little bit? And you can find that out by singing way better than if you play the piece, because you have all those, like the guitar is just sometimes really hard to to control, and singing is a lot easier here. So with measure 9 and 10, our melody is and we want it to be really connected. So make sure. So if we play the whole thing, then we need the chords with it, and then we need to be really careful with our 1st finger. So keep the 1st finger on the string as long as possible, and don't touch with your right hand, because if you touch with your right hand, you will cut the sound. So we try to be really, really careful with that. And now jump and connect it. Now we go to measure 11. We start again. Remember the chord progression, we are still in A minor. So we plug A and A, 5th string, 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then we play 2nd string open, 1, 4, 1, and back to E major. Those 2 measures again. 1 and 2 and 3 and now measure 13 again has this pickup, so we start the phrase in measure 12 on the last beat. And it's the same thing. We play 1, 4, 3rd finger gets ready on the 5th string, and then we plug on the 1st string, 0, 1, 0, 2nd string, 4, 0, 1. Just this little section, this is measure 13 with the pickup. And again, keep in mind that I have my 3rd finger down, ringing through the whole measure. Starting in measure 12 on beat 3. 1, 4, 0, 1, 0, 4, 0, 1. So if this is a little difficult for you to play this little melody with your 3rd finger down, then what you can do is just a little exercise. Just put your finger maybe on the 3rd string, then you don't have this big stretch. So you just put it on the 3rd string, and play just a C and a D. So you go on the second string and play with 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. So your third finger is just on this string. You don't have to pluck it. You just keep it there to practice that your fingers are really independent, and they're not all trying to move when the other finger is moving. So you can also do like a little scale. You can play and you just play this little scale with your third finger down. And then to make it a little more difficult, just put your finger on the third string. Excuse me, actually the fourth string. And now you put it down on the fifth string. Play the same scale. And this stretch is just a little harder for the pinky to really curve that much while the third finger is all flat. So this is getting a little harder. And to make it even harder, we don't even need that in the piece, just to make it a little exercise and make it a little even harder than what we need, so that we are really well prepared when we play the piece. You just put it on the sixth string and play the same little exercise. So that's something you can just practice away from the piece. Doesn't have anything to do with the piece. You can make that part of your warm-up routine, and then you will be super prepared when that comes in measure 13. And also in other spots of this little tune, Packington Pound. Let's just do measure 13 one more time with the pickup. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. And now we move to measure 14, which is G major. So we have this little stretch here between the sixth string and the second string, third and fourth finger. Then open second string, third finger stays down, open third string, third finger stays down. Again, we go to A minor. Now we don't put the whole shape down, we just put 2 and 3 down. That's measure 15. Pluck 4 and 3, open second string, and then the first finger comes down, and then E major shape again. In A minor. So you know this little cadence already because we played it. I will now play the second phrase, which has those embellishments, and if you remember the first phrase, you will hear how it's really the same thing, just as a variation.